complicated question to answer. But before I start, I always try and take the opportunity to say that even though I've been designing libraries for probably most of my career, I always want to say thank you to Shanghai Library for commissioning us, and thank you to Ms. Tang for being our partner on this project. It's been a real labor of love for many years, and will probably be the largest and most significant library I will ever do in my career. So it's been a real pleasure. But of course, there are a number of things that we, over the years, have become interested in when looking at libraries. And we've been lucky to do them in completely different cultures and contexts around the world. That's allowed us to distill a number of things that we see work and we see are sort of developing. Perhaps the most obvious one, if you're going to look at Ningbo and also look at Shanghai, is this concept of an open marketplace. So for us, a library should be a place of discovery. We love the term serendipity, the chance encounter. Like if you were in a marketplace, you wander around and you see things that you weren't planning to see. You discover things that maybe someone else, you can recommend them to. So this idea of a marketplace has permeated a number of our projects over the years. And in Ningbo Library, that was the basis of the entire project. It was one open marketplace with all of the popular functions, all opening out onto the landscape, and then having the sort of collections above it. So when you look at a library like Shanghai Library East, which is so large, that was the starting point for our discussion. Should we make a stack of marketplaces, one marketplace on top of one another? And then how does that work in terms of connecting between them visually? And that started the idea about how the atriums and that spatial connection that we have to connect between these marketplaces. So that would be the first one, marketplace. The second one we think is very important, and it was interesting in Professor Li Jianning's talk, but we always think that a library should be of its time, but also importantly of its place. So we talk about cultural representation. So even though we have ideas about the libraries we have designed, what ideas can we get from the location, from the place? It's always hard when you're designing a library because it's kind of like your baby, but you have to remember it's not yours. It's the city's. It's the citizens, it's the visitors, and you have to find a way to make it meaningful for them. So of course, Ms. Tang also mentioned it, this idea of we conceived this idea of a library as the rock in the garden. Why did we do that? Well, we were very privileged to have this location. Had we designed this downtown, it would have been very, very different. But it was something that we wanted to express and show the contrast of a building against the park, so people really understood where they were. And one of the most interesting things I've had walking and showing people around the building is they kind of go, wow, I didn't realize this park was so big. Like I didn't, oh, there's Lujia's Way. So they immediately kind of understand where they are sort of in their city. And of course, the whole idea of a Scholar's Rock is very rooted in Chinese culture, in how it's almost like the beginning of a library, where scholars would come together. So we're trying to do that in a sort of contemporary way on the outside, and then on the inside we're kind of trying to do it in a more perhaps obvious but still kind of contemporary manner. And then I guess you could say the third and final part of what we are developing as architects that we kind of wanted to bring here was this idea of collection to connection. And I think it has a big part to play in why I think we were selected. Dr. Wu was a great believer in this idea, and basically that the library is about people. this is the future of where it is going. We all know traditionally it was an archive, but now it's how can we're not getting rid of the collection, of course. We're kind of moving it slightly kind of over to have more focus on places for people to be. If you think we want to promote reading, but reading is not the only way in which you can get knowledge. You can get knowledge through a variety of things. So as architects, it's our job to give the librarians the flexibility, the opportunity of creating a series of different spaces that they can then sort of program that out. So that's kind of those three things that really drove us to create what we had here. It's ideas that we've had over many, many years, but then also ideas that we've brought from the place and from our client.
Thank you. 我的提问他说有点复杂，但我认为他的回答却非常简明。我觉得设计师啊，一个优秀的设计师其实是一个优秀的讲故事人。你看他从2个原点讲起，其实上图东莞，这个从我的认识来看，我因为知道这个克里斯的设计思想，一个就是一块璞玉，把它雕琢成钻石，它有各种的文化象征意义，根据上海的一些历史啊、文化等等。另外一个它的基点设计思想，就是从 collection to connection。就是从文献到交集，或者从书籍到交集，而这个思想都是适应了我们图书馆功能的演变和发展，我觉得是非常好的。事实上，我觉得克里斯设计的好，或者说，我用中国式的语言来表达我们和克里斯的这种关系，我想用缘分。缘分。因为什么道理啊？克里斯是 SHL 的一个设计师 ，SHL 是 Schmidt Hammer 这个 Hammer Lassen 的简称，但同时 SHL 也是Shanghai Library 的简称。SHL 还是今天上海，今天上午我们陈超馆长做报告时候提出的。我们上图东莞的一个建设目标 ，Smart Hybrid Library 的简称，所以这是缘分啊，所以这是谢谢。接下来。